want to just hand you over to the Attorney General, but I want to ask you one more question.
Yes, sir.
Just to test your understanding of the law. You said that you did a law degree at the University of Santa Clara.
Yes, sir.
And that was after graduating summa cum laude with your chemistry degree. How long was your instruction in the law?
4 years.
When did that begin?
2007.
To 2011.
Yes, sir. Are you inquiring about a JD and that there are 3 years?
Yes, I'm inquiring about the JD.
Okay. A JD
Yes.
is typically 3 years.
Yes.
However, I did a part-time JD, and so I was working and going to school at the same time.
That's exactly what I'm asking.
Yes.
So you had to take papers in installments?
I'm sorry?
You took your papers in bits?
Yes, correct. Correct. There's a night program, a part-time program for Santa Clara, particularly because of its location. They understand that in the Silicon Valley area, many practitioners or many...
And you did not have a referral, Dr. Rutenberg?
I'm sorry?
You did not have a referral?
What do you mean?
Did you have a referral? Were you referred in any unit?
I don't understand the question.
Did you have a resit? Did you have a retake?
A retake? No,
Yes.
no. I did very well in school.
Okay.
Yes.
I will hold on to questions from the Attorney General.
Okay.
Dr. Rutenberg, I want to ask you a few questions on this same issue of your qualifications. You refer to yourself as a doctor. Is that because you have a PhD in chemistry, or is that because you have a JD in law?
That is based on the PhD in chemistry.
Okay.
I'm not aware whether JDs are allowed to call themselves doctor.
There are very few people who do that, but
Yeah.
it's erroneous.
I suspected.
I thought you meant that you are a doctor of chemistry.
Yes, sir.
And my colleague, Professor Agenda, has drawn your attention to the fact that you graduated in 2011 from the law school in California. That would make it 4 years or 5 years of...
5 years, yes.
So your legal qualification is 5 years old.
My bar qualifications with the California Bar Association are 5 years, yes.
Have you taken the Kenya bar?
I have not.
Have you taken any course at a Kenyan institution on Kenyan law?
I have not, although I teach them, I have not taken.
I appreciate that in the area of intellectual property where you are an expert, it is possible, because of the nature of that discipline, that you can teach without needing retraining locally. But I would want to hear your very honest answer regarding, say, the constitutional law of Kenya. Would you consider yourself an expert in such a discipline?
I would not consider myself an expert in constitutional law, in Kenyan constitutional law, no.
Okay. Are you familiar with the family law of Kenya?
I am familiar with, but not an expert.
Are you familiar with the property law?
I am familiar with property law.
Would you consider yourself reasonably informed, above reason informed, expert?
The Constitution states that property includes intellectual property by definition, and so I would consider myself an expert in property law, although I would qualify that as the
Would you be able to tell the difference between a mortgage, a lease, a charge?
The terms I use might be different, but I would be able to tell the difference, yes.
Would you honestly say that you have the intellectual and jurisprudential capability to adjudicate at the highest level that is the Supreme Court, without a substantial knowledge of the law of the Republic of Kenya?
I have a substantial knowledge of the law of the Republic of Kenya, and I would definitely say that I would be able to adjudicate at the highest level. May I explain?
Yes, please.
All judges are presented with cases, and in each case they may know a lot about the case or not as much. And so for every judge, they have areas that they're very familiar with and areas that they are not very familiar with. The areas that I am very familiar with are different than perhaps the normal areas of constitutional law, of human rights law, etc. But all judges, when they're faced with any case, must do research, must be able to digest the prior rulings of other courts. Even in the Supreme Court, we would look to other courts and the decisions there, and they take that information and then they make an analysis. And to do that, I am very qualified.
You know, Dr. Rutenberg, I have no doubt at all. I noticed that you were supervised in your chemistry PhD thesis by a Nobel Prize winner.
Correct.
Robert Grubbs. And I also note that the thesis is about a subject that is quite impenetrable. So your credentials as a scientist, from where I sit, are totally unimpeachable. On the other hand, your credentials as a lawyer are, with tremendous respect, very, very, very thin. And I would want you to do more to convince me that you are ready to sit in the Supreme Court of Kenya.
Thank you for the question. Let me begin by saying the PhD in chemistry, particularly at the top levels, and as you stated, it is at the very top level. The project that I was on won the Nobel Prize the year after I left. That degree does not teach you chemistry. It teaches you how to analyze information that you've never seen before. When you get a PhD in chemistry, you are looking at things no one has ever seen before. You're looking at data that is unique, situations that are completely unique, and you must take that information and all of the knowledge that you have that comes before that, and synthesize something that is reasonable and that the rest of the community, the scientific community in this case, will understand and will agree with you on. And so that experience is what you can PhD, as all of those on the commission will appreciate. It is completely applicable in the area of law. That in the area of law, every time you are submitted, you are given a set of facts that is different from facts that came before that any other judge has ever seen. And so you must apply what other judges have done as well as what the law says in order to reach a conclusion that other people will agree with. There's no difference between that and chemistry.
My last question is, in your opinion, what ought to be the knowledge of law available to the Deputy Chief Justice of the Republic of Kenya? Should it be familiarity with the law generally, a good command of the law, a very good command of the law, or an outstanding command of the law?
Thank you again for the question. I believe the position of Deputy Chief Justice, and indeed all of the positions on the Supreme Court, are here to provide intellectual leadership to the courts. And absolutely, there must be an excellent knowledge of the law.
Good.
However, may I continue?
If I may.
Yes. position of a judge is not the same as, for example, a litigator, where you must have on the tip of your tongue or your brain exactly what you need to say to the judge without time to research.
Dr. Rutenberg, we've agreed on the criteria.
Yes.
The Deputy Chief Justice must have an outstanding command of the law.
Yes.
Do you, sir, have such an outstanding command of the law of Kenya?
I have an outstanding command of the law in the areas of which I am specialist. And as all judges do, I have areas where I'm weaker.
I have no further question. I thank you for coming.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you very much, the two commissioners. Isaac, listening to you, the position of Deputy Chief Justice is a position of very high responsibility in Kenya.
Yes.
And listening to you and responding to the questions, it's clear that you do not qualify under Article 166, 2, and 3. You particularly have only 5 years since you graduated from the law school. You may feel like you want to continue, but as a chair, and from listening to what you have responded, I think it is not for you to ask us to ask you questions, but we are submitting to you that you do not qualify for this very heavy responsibility job that you are applying for. And we would persuade you to maybe save the commission's time, save your own time, by really looking at these articles that really do not give you adequate experience since you qualified from the law school, 5 years.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I have thought very much and hard about this for the last several months since the position was advertised. I do believe that the Article 166 does not mention law school or the date that you graduate from law school. And in the aggregate, I have 4 years as a distinguished academic and 11 years as a full practitioner. So I do believe that I qualify for this position.
The commission submits you do not qualify, and we wish to discontinue the interview. And we want to really thank you for coming. And there is nothing personal. We just feel you do not qualify for this Article 166, especially that you have only 5 years since you qualified from the law school. So we do not want really to engage further in this interview. Is that okay with you?
Well, that is, of course, the decision that the chair, that the panel is, it is within your mandate to make that decision. And if that is your decision, of course, I submit to your decision with the utmost of thanks for letting me speak. And if that is the decision, then that is it.
Let me thank you on behalf of the Commission. We do believe what you are doing and the window that you have now to contribute in the university, we value it as Kenyans. But on this particular position, we are having this difficulties really to continue with the interview. But I want to thank you, wish you well in your endeavors and the contribution you are making to the university. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.